Hey, we're back. Welcome to Wednesday. And I'll just throw in my usual reminder to consider having a weedless Wednesday, just change things up a little bit. So yesterday we were talking, we were going through that book, My Curious Brain. We're going to do some more of that today. And I can't stress enough how important understanding how our brain works is. And unfortunately, we don't think about it very much. We don't pay attention to what we're thinking or why we're doing what we're doing. We just sort of become used to doing things a certain way or thinking things a certain way. And sorry, Boshino, the dog has to get by me. And she doesn't understand how important this is. Um, Now I'm out of focus. Still out of focus. That doesn't matter. We get into these habits and patterns, and it becomes really important to understand where they're coming from and to recognize them and to figure out what we want to change. And that Weedless Wednesday thing is a good idea. It's a good pickup on that thought, because if you just keep doing something and don't explore the other side of it, you really don't know what the difference is. And we think, well, I have to. And we start rationalizing and justifying. And, we'll talk about cannabis or marijuana for a minute. Like, I've had 2 or 3 conversations with parents lately, and I mentioned it before that they get caught up in that it's just marijuana, it's not fentanyl, or it's not this, or it's not that. Like there really isn't a just. And any drug changes how our brain's working. And as soon as we start to do that with any regularity, that's what our brain gets used to. And that dinosaur brain or that lizard brain, that reptilian part of your brain, when things change, it reacts. And you get pushed into fight, flight, or hide. And stopping doing a drug, whether it's nicotine or alcohol or cannabis, if your body and your brain are used to that and you take it away, that causes a reaction. And those reactions are uncomfortable. And as soon as something's uncomfortable, we try and fix it. And if what we've been using to fix it is that drug, we're pushed back to using it. So anyway, I'm going to share a screen again with you. I'd still be wildly excited if somebody showed me an easier way to do this. Okay, so that's where we left off yesterday. As the dinosaur, and so we're talking about early development. So as the dinosaur part of your brain is becoming healthy, the monkey part of your brain is also growing, and the monkey part of your brain manages your emotions. Uh, your dinosaur brain listens to your 5 senses to tell your body what you need. So sound, sights, touch, smells, tastes. Uh, if you, I mean, a good example is tasting something that you find really disgusting. That registers a thought in your, or a memory in your brain to don't do that again. If you experience something dangerous or frightening, you tend to stay away from those kinds of things. And so all of these parts connect. So your monkey brain is where you experience your emotions. It's actually called your limbic system. And your limbic system doesn't think, it doesn't like process thought. It just reacts, as does your dinosaur brain. It reacts to what's going on outside, like outside of you. And so as we learn things, we start to develop reaction patterns. And some of those reaction patterns are incredibly useful because they will steer us away from danger. Uh, some of them are incredibly beneficial because they will steer us towards good things, to rewards, to happiness, to love, to those kinds of things. But we need to understand kind of what's going on. Sorry, that's blurry. Um, some of the emotions we feel are happy, sad, mad, and scared. And when we feel those kinds of things, that limbic brain starts to send messages back to your dinosaur brain. Your monkey brain sends messages back to your dinosaur brain, and those patterns of reaction start to develop. So the monkey brain helps match your emotions to the experiences that you have throughout the day. So this is learned behavior. This is learned stuff. And that's where we start to learn to trust people. That's where we start to learn to go and look for rewards. That's where we learn to stay away from certain kinds of things. And one of the issues with drug use, whether it's marijuana or alcohol or nicotine or whatever, it has a huge reward impact on that limbic brain. Uh, it gives you a feeling that is perceived as really good because it changes your brain chemistry, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's good. And so if the monkey brain deals with my emotions, then why do they sometimes feel too big to handle? Well, as we develop, as we are growing, we have to learn through experience how to handle things. And so sometimes we can learn stuff by experiencing it. Sometimes we can learn stuff by watching other people. Sometimes we can learn stuff by reading information on things. And everything that happens to us every day is an important developmental piece. And as we grow, and that's why adolescence is so important, and early childhood is so important, is that's when we're starting to develop all of these thoughts and patterns that help us figure out how we want to manage our lives. And uh, sometimes we encounter stuff that's really difficult. And if we run away from that chemically, if we, because we're feeling stressed or anxious, if we go smoke weed or drink alcohol or do something like that, what we've done is we've taught our brain that it doesn't have to deal with anything, that it can just escape. And then we don't grow, we don't learn, we get stuck in that situation. Uh, some of these big emotions can sneak up on your monkey brain when your dinosaur brain is tired, sick, hungry, or scared. So we have to look after those basic needs. We have to get enough sleep. We have to, try and stay healthy. If you're not feeling good, like rest, take it easy. Hungry or scared, we have to learn how to process those things, because if we're operating from any of those positions, if you're tired all the time, you're going to be irritable. You're going to not be able to think as well. You're going to be more reactive to things. Same thing if you're hungry. We've seen the hangry commercials. If you're hungry, what that means is that that dinosaur part of your brain is telling you that you're not looking after something and you need to look after it. Same thing if you're scared. Uh, Maybe don't be doing what you're doing. And uh, so that emotional management, the monkey's job is so big that sometimes this happens, like you crash. Emotional management is difficult. And the really unfortunate part of drug and alcohol use is that it weakens your ability to manage things emotionally. It gets you weaker and weaker, so you crash way more often. And that's one of the reasons why uh, suicide and self-harm issues are a big part of the story of kids who develop drug and alcohol problems, because they weaken their monkey brain so much that they just can't handle anything. Um, and so we need to learn how to connect with people who can help us learn. Uh, uh, you know, sometimes we react to people. How, if they're being negative, we'll get pulled into the negative. And so uh, another huge risk is getting tied too closely to somebody who's not doing that well. Uh, if we're not strong enough to keep ourselves stable and steady, they're going to pull us in the wrong direction. And similarly, if we attach ourselves to somebody who's strong and healthy emotionally, we're going to learn from them. And we can help each other by teaching each other different ways to manage how we're feeling, how to calm ourselves. Tomorrow, we're going to talk uh, much more about how to manage these some of these kinds of things. And tomorrow, we're going to talk about the owl brain, or that prefrontal cortex, that part that really helps us manage stuff. So I'm going to stop this share, and I will. I'll be back tomorrow. Hopefully, like, spend some time today thinking about what's going on in here. You know, when you start to feel hungry, understand that that's that dinosaur part of your brain trying to get your attention. If you're starting to feel frustrated about something, that's your monkey brain not knowing what to do, not knowing how to process a situation. So start to understand that how you're feeling is exactly related to what's going on up there. So have a good day. I will be back tomorrow. You take care.